And that's again, I have a philosophy that I like to say that I'm learning focused, not grade focused. Because
That's how
I
I
have
am.
I have kind of this like love hate relationship with letter grades, because to me that's not a real good representation of what learning happened. Because if I had a C student that's working really really hard and they get to a B versus that student that's been an A the entire time, well, that B student has shown learning. That A student did not. So
Right.
the grade really doesn't mean much to me. It's more about where that learning happens. And I know in higher education, right, we're on timelines. In our program, we're 4-week courses. They go by so fast, and it's a heavy lift,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So time doesn't equal learning, right? Like late penalties to me, I think are silly. If a student needs more time, you need more time, right? I don't want you to rush through and time is a pressure that could force a student to use AI irresponsibly, right? Not so because they just need to get done, submitted, so they can get the grade, check the box, and move on.
Right.
Learning is not a consideration at all in there, and that has nothing to do with the design of the course. That is all of the atmospherics or the ecosystem of the learner. So we have to factor those things in when we think about how we interact with these students to produce that learning. So if we know that time's going to be an issue, we need to have policies in place and stuff in place to give that learner the opportunity to demonstrate that they've met that objective.
I agree. Yeah. Because, especially with adult learners, you just never know what life can throw at them. And I've had students that, I always give them that opportunity to have additional time if they need it, as long as they make arrangements with me ahead of time and they let me know. And it's not the 11th hour where they're like, oh, I need more time. Oh, wait, why didn't you tell? Or they do it after the topic has already ended and we're in the next one. And then they tell me, and I'm like, so I always tell them good time management is key, right? But I agree with you. I think, so I have a graceful approach when it comes to how I do that too, because I want to make sure I honor, what they're going through and not be such a stickler about it. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eh,
So
and
I'm the
and
same way.
again, and this is me just taking on additional workload. Like I always take resubmissions, because my thought
Me
process
too.
on that is that if you get feedback from me and you go back and make the changes, the learning happened.
Yes.
Right? Where if we just
Absolutely.
left it at is, the learning didn't happen. So,
Right.
to me, the resubmission is just that extension of that meeting that learning objective. So really understanding that what am I doing to help that student work through that cognitive effort process to achieve that objective? But I want to remove those barriers, and not the cognitive barriers. I want you to work through the cognitive effort piece of it, but I want to remove those other barriers if I can, like anxiety. They get stressed because it's the deadline. They're trying to achieve it, right? Trying to get it done, and
Right.
and well, that hinders learning. So what can I do in the structure of the course within my what I can do, to help mitigate that? Right?
I love that.
To
Yeah.
to again, the goal is learning, not
Right.
not to get an A. The goal is learning. Did you meet these learning outcomes? And you may be able to demonstrate that in different ways. I, I offer all the time, if we except for the written research portion, because that's an accreditation, right? Piece to it. But the project, we can always do live one-on-one,
Hmm.
because you're meeting the learning objective. The learning objective is not, build a video. That's nowhere in the learning objective. The learning objective is what you applied within that. So we can do that. Right. So it's really understanding what those objectives are and meeting those and how a student can demonstrate that. And if we can have that flexibility, we're helping that student.
Right.